Attendance is everybody? Is here? Okay, before we go any further, welcome.
Hi.
Yes.
Someone else is straight as well.
Just find a seat there. Sorry? Yeah, I'll read before this. There's a statement that I need to read out before we start. Ladies and gentlemen, please note this meeting is being audio live streamed and recorded on the Council's website in accordance with the Council's live streaming of open Council meetings policy. The recording will be archived and made available on Council's website after the meeting. While care is taken to maintain your privacy while in attendance at the Council meeting, please note that your presence in the Council chambers and/or your voice may be live streamed and recorded, including any statement made during public question time or consideration of planning matters. All speakers ought to refrain from making any defamatory comments or releasing personal information of another individual without their prior consent. The Council accepts no liability for any damage that may result from defamatory comments, and all liability will rest with the individual making those comments. By remaining in the public gallery, you are deemed to consent to being live streamed and recorded. So if any person attending the meeting does not agree to being live streamed or recorded, you may choose to leave the meeting. Thank you. Table of contents, no change?
No change.
Acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge and pay our respects to the Tasmanian Aboriginal community as the traditional and original owners and continuing custodians of this land on which we gather today, and acknowledge elders past, present and emerging. Declarations of interest. Do we have any councillors who wish to declare any interest? Councillor Terrett.
All in closed council, 3.5.1 disputes resolution, Councillor Terrett against General Manager. 5.1 strategic flood mapping. I have a pecuniary interest on that project as I own a property at 85 Marlborough Street. 5.6 disputes resolution policy. I have perceived conflict as I have a existing matter that's currently in dispute as under 3.5.1.
Thank you. Nobody on either council. Councillor Goss.
Closed meeting 5.1, I think it is. Flood mapping.
Anybody else have anything to declare? Okay. We don't need to move that, do we? No. Okay, the confirmation of the council minutes from Monday the 17th of February. Can I have a movement to say Councillor Adams and Councillor Andrews? All those in favour? Against? Carried. The date of the next council meeting will be at 5 p.m. on Monday the 14th of April. We have two motions by councillors. The first motion is about Wilmores Lane, Bishopsburn Road and Herberts Road. The officer's recommendation is that council officers prepare a report on the costs associated with investigating the following. 1. Major upgrades to Wilmores Lane and Bishopsburn Road as an alternative heavy vehicle route. And 2. Open the northern end of Herberts Road to Illawarra Road to provide an access lane for heavy vehicles to divert from Tannery Road. And 3. List for discussion at a council workshop on the 7th of April. Councillor Andrews, you wish to move that?
I'd like to move the officer's recommendation, please.
I'll second.
Councillor Terrett seconding. Councillor Andrews, do you wish to speak to
I
it?
do indeed, thanks very much. As I've said in the background to this one, with a federal election imminent and a state government election around the corner, I think this is an ideal time to be preparing job-ready applications for funding for capital works that are difficult for the council's own budget. The number of heavy vehicles, including farm machinery and log trucks, forced to use Longford's main street as the only convenient access to their work, has grown dramatically in the past decade, as we all know, and sees no sign of slowing down. Longford is the service town for one of the state's biggest agricultural areas. After white settlement, it was the first area cleared in the north to grow crops and animals to feed and clothe the colony, and it has retained that status to the present day. This region is proud of its agricultural industry and the innovative producers and processors who maintain its reputation as one of the state's best performing industries. Yet providing services to the industry has not kept pace with its growth. Producers, their contractors and processors in this part of the world would prefer not to use Longford's Main Street to move their vehicles where they need to go, particularly in harvest season. It's as difficult for them to manoeuvre as it is for us who live on the town to avoid them. But they don't have safe options. It's the same for log trucks servicing the timber industries. Farmers have shown me that they have tried to find an alternate route, and a number of them are already using it. A number already use Bishopsburn Road from Illawarra Road and Wilmore's Lane, or vice versa, around Longford. But they have huge problems with the turn from Bishopsburn Road into Wilmore's Lane at the rail crossing. It's too tight and there's no visibility for approaching traffic from two directions. I acknowledge that the council has earmarked money in this year's budget to upgrade that corner. Thank you, it's a start. But I think if we're really serious about getting heavy vehicles off the town's main street, council now has to spend the money upgrading both those roads, Wilmore's Lane and Bishopsburn Road, to take the agricultural, industrial and commercial traffic that will use this heavy vehicle bypass if it's provided. While we're at it, there's another option worth investigating, I think, to get the trucks and other heavy vehicles servicing Coppers and the Longford Meat Works, two major industries at the entrance to the town off Tannery Road. Herbert Road is one of Longford's oldest surveyed roads. You can find it on the old maps and can see the southern end in real life, opening off Wilmore's Lane just off Cressy Road. It was surveyed to run along Longford side of Back Creek and to come out on Illawarra Road behind where Coppers and Longford Meat Works are now. But it was never built that far. It stopped where it met Gay Street coming from the east. You can best see the potential of this one by driving out onto Illawarra Road and pulling up along the truck stop, would you believe? If you look back towards the meat works, you will see that there's already a lane coming from behind the meat works from its side of the levee bank. So you don't have to worry about trying to get through the levee bank that's there, across the flats and petering out before it reaches you at the truck stop on Illawarra Road. Why not extend that lane south to Coppers to give them access to that lane? And then take it, that lane that's already existing, you'd have to upgrade it, right out across the flats to the north to meet the Illawarra Road at the truck stop. It wouldn't have to be a major road. It could be upgraded to an access lane to the highway for the two industries so that their service vehicles would not have to fight for space to get on and off Tannery Road and ease traffic congestion and improve the safety for ordinary vehicles entering and exiting the town. As I mentioned before, I believe this is an ideal time with federal and state elections looming to investigate and cost these two proposals, both of which would make a huge contribution to easing heavy vehicles traffic through the centre of our historic town.
Thank you. Councillor Terrett, do you wish to speak?
Yes, I would actually. I fully support Councillor Andrews' motion. I first raised the concern about traffic, particularly in Wellington Street, and the need for a Longford bypass back in December of 2023. Unfortunately, my motion didn't get up. We got an amendment to put some funds into fixing some corners. And we need to continue looking at a long-term strategy for traffic going through Wellington Street. And I see this as one way of doing that. Only in the short period that I've been on council, I've seen an increase in Wellington Street of traffic and an increase in trucks. We are a agricultural area and we also have a lot of trucks moving in and out in the industrial area, and we have to cater for that. I'm not saying totally preclude on Wellington Street because there is a need to access agricultural sites, but having an alternative. The population of Longford will grow over the next several years and we have to start planning now for the long-term strategy. As a council, this would be a very expensive exercise, and I acknowledge the fact with the state and federal election in the air, I think we need to try to convince those state and federal government to look at some other link road, I'll call it link road rather than a bypass, as we still want people to come to Longford. We still want people to use Wellington Street. But if people are given an alternative, this is a very sound alternative. And if there are other alternatives, I'd certainly be open to that, and I fully support Councillor Andrews' motion.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Adams.
Yeah, well, we used to drive the cattle and the sheep and the stock down the main streets of to the abattoirs and the sale yards. We changed all that because, you know, the droppings in the main street got to be too much. And so you constantly have to upgrade the way that things are done. And it's terrific to see so much economic activity from trucking and our economic activity that goes on at Longford or past Longford and down into the agriculture sector. We need to look for, to solve some of the problems that we've got, and having so much traffic on our main street, on Wellington Street, but also in Marlborough Street, of course, and then running into Cressy Road. So it's a good motion, and I think it gets us started in a direction that we can work on. It will take some money to get this, and we'll certainly need the other two tiers of government to help us through.
Thank you. Councillor Goss, you had your hand up before.
Yeah,
Yes, sorry.
I just wondered whether the mover and the seconder might also include what I'd like to suggest also. I'd like to suggest that we also include connection to Woolmers Lane, so up on Brickerton Street. So we've got actually a true ring road around Longford, so that traffic as well goes from Woolmers Lane along back over to Wilmore's Lane and around that way, instead of the traffic going down Wellington Street. I think that'd be a lot of trucks and heavy vehicles use Wellington Street to go straight into Longford, and I think that ring road should go around that further as well, and that should be investigated. I think that's probably really important. The suggestion that's been put forward is always support those, but if the mover and the second would also look at connecting Woolman's Lane to Wilmore's Lane, so it becomes a true ring road around the main arterials into Longford, and I think that'd be a really good move. I think that the Wilmore's Lane option is probably the best option because it gets those big heavy vehicles right out of our town. If you think that there's going to be I think about our people that live close to the Back Creek area. They've got no high traffic movements there at the moment. If there's going to be a ring road close to them, that's going to make a bit of a problematic for them. Also, that if it is a true rural ring road that goes from Woolmers Lane right round to Longford, maybe even some of the Longford traffic from the southern end might go that way instead of going through Longford. So the traffic comes from Cressy, instead of going through Longford, they might actually use the ring road to get round Longford. It might be actually quicker to use. So it might become more of an arterial than what Longford Main Street will be. So I think it's got a lot of merit.
So I'll first of all ask the mover and the seconder, are you happy to have that included, or do you wish this to be an amendment?
With respect to Councillor Goss, I think that's probably another motion for another day that needs a lot more thought, because you're taking in another big section of the town. You know, if you're going to come up Woolmore's Lane and then go across the town and onto Wilmore's Lane, I think that we probably need to, I need to have a bit of a chat to the people that are in that part of town to see whether they would mind that. And also, and also, my proposal is not for a ring road around Longford. I don't want a bypass of Longford. I want to get heavy vehicles off the main street. I don't want to bypass Longford because I want people to still come into Longford, but I'd like the heavy vehicles off our main street.
So now I need to ask Councillor Goss, do you wish to move an amendment?
I'll move amendment, which includes.
So do I have a seconder for that amendment, including that? Okay, that lapses for lack of a seconder. We'll go back to Councillor McCullough, you're next.
I was going to just complicate it a little bit more. I don't necessarily need to pass the motion, but I think we've got to be a little bit more. I think it's a tremendous motion, by the way, Councillor Andrews, really good. I think we should be looking at all alternatives in relation to this. Herbert's Road in itself might be a solution. We talked earlier tonight about flooding and the flood levy, etc. It just might be a more general report to look at all avenues of to what we can do outside of just Williams Lane and Bishopsburn Road and Herbert's Road. I don't want to pass it as a motion or interfere with Councillor Andrews' motion, but I think it should be considered that we should be, if we're going to spend the money, we should be just generally looking at all options as to what would the best result would be. So,
Councillor Archer.
Firstly, I declare an interest in if we bring Walmers Lane into the motion. I'm happy to support a study into the traffic around Longford. Obviously, at the moment, most of the traffic is going on the State Growth Road. As soon as it's diverted elsewhere, it becomes a council issue. Cost of upgrading Millmore's Lane across the Back Creek floodplain would be huge, so the funding is not going to be minor. I'd suggest there are lots of options we've all talked about for many years, but all those options are going to require significant funding, and also any new option has a downside for somebody. So we've got to take into account that people have made decisions to live somewhere. You don't put a truck road through the middle or bypass past their place without taking into account all issues. So I'm happy to support Councillor Andrews' motion as the catalyst for a full study into the transport around Longford.
Councillor Brooks.
I went for a drive and counted the amount of businesses in Longford from Swift right through to Newbrick, and there was over 20 businesses that relied on a heavy vehicle to service that business. Now, if you look at this motion, it says a major upgrade to Wilmores Lane and Bishopsburn Road. That won't get those trucks that service those 20 businesses out of the town. Cressy, there's a lot of trucks that go through Longford that actually service Cressy with the amount of new businesses that are at Cressy. So maybe, yes, some of that road that Councillor Andrews was talking about, some of those vehicles, those heavy vehicles would use that road. But the 20 businesses at Longford that rely on those heavy vehicles, where do they go? That's what I'd like to know. If you're going to put a road through Herbert's Road, does it go straight through to Wilmore's Lane? So all you're doing is you're bringing them from one end of Longford to the other. They've still got to access the town from some direction. And a lot of those businesses in Longford that I speak about, the 20 local businesses, they have not only heavy vehicles, like multi-combination vehicles that service those businesses. You know, we're talking about Pivot, we're talking about the concrete batching plant, we're talking about Midlands tractors, we're talking about TTMI tractors, Gaffney's machinery. They all use big trucks to service their businesses. So they've got to get into the town somehow. So to restrict it to Wilmore's Lane and Bishopsburn Road, I think it needs to broaden it more so to have a look at maybe upgrading Wellington Street and Marlborough Street. You know, I don't know, but I just don't think Wilmore's Lane and Bishopsburn Road is the only answer to this problem.
Okay, now, Councillor Lambert, you wish to speak?
Yes, look, I think I'll support the motion because we're just looking at the moment, if we could just hold it still, if you don't mind, looking at investigating the costings for this to happen, whether to do the report. So I think within that will open another conversation. And this is a starting point. It's just a starting point for this conversation. And as we've just heard around the table tonight, there are a variety of different options, opinions, and things to consider. So I think as a starting point, I'd like to see what comes back. So I'll support it.
Just before I ask Councillor Andrews if she wishes to sum up, in my 16 years on council, this has come up several times. Same discussion, same issues. Okay, Councillor Andrews, did you wish to sum up?
Yes, thanks very much. Just to say that this suggestion is not to make it mandatory for heavy vehicles to turn off and go up Wilmore's Lane and out. I've settled on this one. I know that this has been a discussion around this table for many years. I've settled on this one because it comes with the backing of the agricultural industry. they already try and use this this link, and it gets them to where they would need to go, and it wouldn't take much more time as long as it was a decent road. It's not a safe road for them at the moment. So I'm not suggesting that this will be mandatory, the mandatory bypass for heavy vehicles, but it will be the proposed bypass, the ones that's encouraged, and I know that the agricultural industry will use it. And I think that you would find that given time, most other people would do that too. I wouldn't like to see Cressy people take the bypass. I'd hope they keep driving through Longford and come and do their groceries here. You know, it's not for that purpose. It's to get a lot of heavy vehicles off our main street, and they've already put their hand up to say that if there's a decent road, they will take that option. As for the service vehicles, it's that the councillor Brooks brought up, it's the same thing. This is not mandatory that heavy vehicles no longer come through the town at all. Obviously, you've got to service the businesses that are in the town, but this is a suggested option for the big guys, you know, the big farm equipment and the log lorries, etc. And I know from talking to them that if it's there and it's a decent road, they will go that way.
Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Councillor Brooks against, nobody else? So the motion's carried. Thank you. Our next notice of motion is amendment of the dog registration terms and conditions and continuation of responsible dog ownership positive information campaign. The officer's recommendation is that they support Councillor Lambert's recommendation, which is that Council, 1, continue the positive community information campaign highlighting responsible dog ownership, in particular effective control of dogs on and off lead as per the Dog Control Act 2000, and 2, add the following or similar clause to the terms and condition of dog registration forms, paper and online. I have read and understood my rights and obligations as a responsible dog owner and will abide by the rules and regulations set out in the Northern Midlands Council Dog Policy and the Dog Control Act 2000. I will abide by the rules relating to effective control of dogs on and off lead. And also there would be information relating to the Northern Midlands Council Dog Policy and the Dog Control Act found on the website. So, Councillor Lambert, do you wish to speak to your motion or move your motion?
I'll move the motion
Yes.
first. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes. And do I have a seconder? Councillor Adams is seconding. Councillor Lambert.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, as written there, obviously, I'm not sure if you're aware, but there are currently 3,790 dogs registered in our municipality. So I think that tells us a story in itself about how important dogs are to our lives in the Northern Midlands. So I think they give us a lot. So in return, I think that we as owners have a bit of an obligation regarding their health and wellbeing and also the safety and health and wellbeing of the community at large. So the Northern Midlands Council has embarked on a really positive Facebook information campaign just to remind dog owners of their rights and responsibilities, particularly in relation to effective dog control on and off leash. And I'd really like to acknowledge our Animal Control Officer for the work that she's done in this space. It's been really positive, and I understand she has received a huge amount of positive feedback from that just initial campaign that has gone on to some of our community Facebook pages. So that's been really fantastic. Because I think most people actually want to abide by the terms and conditions of their dog registration. And that positive campaign was just a really light reminder of what some of those rights and responsibilities are. And I also understand that the Animal Control Officer regularly also receives reports of dogs off leash, dogs not under effective control. And I think if you are a social media person, you'll see on our community Facebook pages, there are often Facebook sites discussing that very issue. I've also been lobbied by several people regarding this issue and just concerns about people understanding their rules, understanding our rules in the community and the rights and responsibilities of owners. So I also want to thank those people who have spent a lot of time talking through those things with me. So look, amending the terms and conditions of the dog registration form to include an acknowledgement of a dog owner's rights and responsibilities regarding effective control for dogs on and off leash, I think would clear some of that up and give people an opportunity to actually find things on our website. I think there's a lot of great information on our council website regarding dog control, rights, responsibilities, all sorts of really good things for people who own dogs to know. But on our dog registration forms, there just seems to be a lot of procedural information, which is also important and we need to know, but doesn't really give us any of that practical, responsible, day-to-day information that you need to know to be effective member of the community, I suppose. So by adding that information into when we sign up, when we do our registrations every year, and then giving people an opportunity to go onto the website, have a look, and then to say that they've read and understood those conditions, I think will also help our animal control officer as well, to say that she's confident that people actually understand and know those rules. For those people who don't do online, I think it would be quite an easy thing for council to be able to produce a little one-page Q&A style document at the time of bringing their registration in, with that same sort of information on it, so they could take it away and read it. So that was it. Yeah, so I'd just like hopefully that you'll support this motion and we can provide a little bit more information, a bit more open and transparent for our community about what their rights and responsibilities are in regard to owning and being out in the community with their dog and knowing what they need to do when they're in the community to have them on or off a lead. Because I think we all think our dogs will come at command, but sometimes things happen and they don't necessarily do what you would hope or think that they're going to do. So, I'll leave it at that.
Before I ask the seconder, Councillor Adams, if you'd like to speak, are both the mover and seconder happy to take or similar out of point 2, the green highlighted wording, and the following clause to the terms and conditions, rather than or similar? You happy for that to come out?
That to go out, yeah. I'll
Okay.
just put that in to see if the officer was happy with that.
Councillor Adams, you wish to speak?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Most dog owners are responsible and certainly try and do the right thing, and will always do the right thing and have great affection for their pets. Working dogs, hunting dogs, the same. The guys that have them, with the working dogs, of course, it's a part of their life, and sometimes the shepherds are sure to be a part of their helping them earn their income. Occasionally I see a ute with dogs on it outside the pub. That's never a good thing for the dogs, and because sometimes in my youth I might have overstayed at a pub occasionally, so I don't think the dogs do well out of those things. But other than that, I think this is a good motion highlighting, asking people to recognise their responsibilities. It's good, and most of them do, and so it's a good motion, and I'll be supporting it.
Does anyone else wish to speak on the motion? Councillor Terrett.
I commend Councillor Lambert for trying to put this information up, although I have a strong concern about the second part, the following clause. I fully support the fact that we should have community information and campaigns in relation to dog ownerships, and I should disclose that I have 6 dogs. And as a dog lover, I have often had problems with people off the lead, people not picking up dog excrement, a whole host of things. But often when you get a form from the council, it's a matter of signing it and thinking, and not really taking into account. And I did like the idea of what Councillor Lambert said, of putting out a one-page Q&A or pictures, because we have a high illiteracy rate, and getting that message across is very important. Look, I often get asked that we need signs that people pick up the excrement, and I'd love to see us putting up some signs in parts of the council where this is a real problem, and that reminding people to keep their dogs on the lead. My concern about the second part of this is that not everybody goes into our website or understands what the council's dog policy is, or what the state legislation on Dog Control Act, and that's being updated by the state government at the moment, and that's been out for public consultation until January. It's been a long time, and I think it's a long time coming because animal welfare is an important aspect. But my concern, and somebody who does get their dogs registered, having something with that dog registration form which people can read and understand. It's not the people who do the right things, it's the person who doesn't do the right thing. It's the person who doesn't register their dog. And there are people out there, we have almost 4,000 dogs, 3,700, but we need to target the people who don't do the right thing. And if that means putting up signs, reminding them it's going to cost you $202 if your dog does its business on the street, just reminding people of that. It's done once a year, the registration, but I think education is an ongoing thing. And whilst I support what Councillor Lambert has put up, I won't be supporting the motion because of the second part of it, because I'm concerned that people will just sign it, tick the box, and not really follow what it does. But I support the basis of why Councillor Lambert put this up.
Does anyone else wish to make comment? I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour? Oh, yes, beg your pardon. Yes, beg your pardon.
Just say, look, I take on board what Councillor Terrett is saying, and the education, I think, is part of the first part of the motion, continuing that positive campaign. So we've only just started that campaign, so being able to add those things in, I think the signage, it would be a natural progression for that as well to occur. And I see I understand what he means, but realistically, if you're signing something, you do actually have to say that you've read and understood it. The one pager, something to take away for people to actually have a look at. I think that would help with that. And what's on our website is actually written in really quite user-friendly language. So I think, and that's been replicated in some of those posts that came out on our Facebook page, exactly some of the things that are on our website. So I think it would be easy for people to use, but I think the signage is a good thing too.
Thank you. I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Councillor Terrett's against. The motion's carried. It's gone 5:30, so we're going to move straight to public questions and statement time. This is the time when members of the community can make a statement or ask a question. Can I just ask everybody, please, to make sure their phones are on silent and to be respectful when they do speak. And if there's several people about one topic, 2 people will be able to speak for the topic and 2 against. Yes. Okay, so... Right, so it's over to the community. Is there anyone who wishes to make a statement or ask a question about something that's not related to our planning items? You wish to? You need to state your name and where you live, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay. Hello, I'm Leanne Peters from Campbelltown. I'm the co-owner of Harmony on High Street. And I'm here on behalf of most of the businesses between the IGA and the Town Hall on High Street, or the Midlands Highway. We are currently concerned about some things released recently in the Campbelltown Streetscape development, like that there has been an exceptional lack of consultation on this, as mostly no one knew about it. I've heard that this plan has been in the works for 5 to 7 years, some people even say longer, and things have changed during that time, like we are much busier. Ignoring the needs of trucks and caravans and their ability to be able to park safely and even at all within our main street. But mostly we are extremely worried about the parking situation for this busy part of the highway in our town. We need more parking, not less. Our streets are mostly full during peak hours every day. Although I have been unable to get any official information on current and new parking numbers from your representative on this project, some of us have done some maths. Currently, we have about 63 car parks between the IGA and the Town Hall. The new plan, from the vague information we have, will become about 36 car parks. If this is true, then this is a loss of about 27 car parks, or 43% of our parking, which is already overflowing at the best of times. These changes do not only affect us as businesses, but our community and the workers, travellers and tourists who move through our town. We desperately request this development be abandoned. We need to lose as minimal car parks as possible. In fact, we need more parking options. So there are many questions, a lot of questions, like why wasn't the public consulted at all? Why has it taken so long for this plan to actuate? Where will trucks and caravans park? Where will the disabled and the elderly park? How will you replace the lost car parking outside Valentine Park? And what is happening to the important convict bricks that attract tourists down both sides of our street? And why, for example, is there a forecourt needed outside our town hall, which is currently for sale and will take away necessary car parking? I think the ultimate question, at least that I have right now, is how many car parks will we lose if this goes ahead, and how can we get them back plus more? We see what our friends are going through in Perth, and we do not want this to be us. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you wish to make comment or we keep going?
I can keep going. We're happy to provide comment. We'll provide a response formally through our minutes and provide a response
You've got
back.
that in writing?
And we've recorded it.
You've
as well.
recorded, okay, cool.
My
Yes,
name's
yes, councillor Al Lambert.
I'd like to move a motion, if I can, that council pause the Campbelltown streetscape development to reassess the parking issues and to reassess the parking issues before the tender process goes out, because I believe the tenders haven't gone out yet, and and communicate any of these amendments or any changes that we might be going to make, if we do make any, to the community via appropriate methods.
Do I have a seconder for that motion?
We just have that motion.
We'd need to have the motion.
So can the council, that the council pause the Campbelltown streetscape development to reassess the parking issue before initiating the tender process. So it would only be a very minor pause, because I know we haven't actually gone down the tender process yet, and communicate any amendments of the plan.
See where the wording's got to. Parking
Council
issue
pause
before.
the Campbelltown streetscape development to reassess the parking issue before initiating the tender process.
Councillor Terrett seconding.
And the second part to that is to communicate any amendments of the plan to the Campbelltown community via appropriate methods, whatever that might be, whether it's a community meeting.
We'll wait till we get the second part in.
Just a procedural motion.
Yes,
We're currently in public question
we
time.
are.
We have a gentleman who would like to
Yes, we
speak.
do. We will be going back to that.
I think it would be fair that we finish the public question time and then come back to the motion.
Yep.
That's
So
it.
the mover, you're happy to hold it over?
Just hold it,
Yes,
foreshadow
do
it
that.
until
Foreshadowed motion.
before we go into planning. Is that what we'll do, Mayor?
Yes, it's not part of planning though.
Before we
but
go into planning.
yes.
So after public speaking.
Yes.
Come out and question.
Okay, there's a foreshadowed motion that councillor Lambert's motion, which has been seconded, is held over until public question time about planning, prior to public question time. Yes? So,
Who was the seconder?
to the foreshadowed motion as well, councillor Terrett. Okay, that's a foreshadowed motion that's going to be put now. I'll put that motion forward. All those in favour?
Hang on.
Against?
I thought we were going to leave till after the question.
We are. We're only foreshadowing that this motion's going to occur.
Just as a motion.
I want to foreshadow another motion, stronger than that, that's all, because I don't know what that means. I thought we were going to go with the...
We're going to, but we need to foreshadow a motion that this is being held, this discussion's being held over until prior to planning question time.
Okay.
So it's only very short.
We're voting on this here now, aren't we?
No, we're voting on just to
So it's
hold it
held
over.
Okay, I
Just
can
to
look
hold
at
it
that.
over until after we've
Yep,
had the
that's fine.
public questions. Okay, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, back to public question time. Beg your pardon. Just state your...
I'm just a resident of the town of Campbelltown. I must make very clear at the outset that however this goes will have no financial impact on me, unlike Leanne and other business people, because I feel very strongly about this. This was put up I used to be on the forum there in Campbelltown. This was mentioned some years ago, and we were told that we would lose 2 car parking spaces. I strongly disagreed with that idea. I said we can't afford to lose any parking spaces. even though I don't have a business on the town, I walk through the town regularly, we do business in the town, and I see those car parks full, and then I see trucks double parking in the street because, they want to pull up in our town as well and buy a drink or a hamburger or whatever. And so I've seen safety situations come up and it's all because there's already not enough parking. And so we need to explore ideas. I've got nothing against beautifying the street, although I must admit, I seek the opinion because we're newbies to Tasmania, I seek the opinion of people who stop in our town regularly. And I've heard one person in the 11 years we've been there make any derogatory comment about the main street of Campbelltown. Most people say, what a beautiful little town. That's the overwhelming opinion that I hear. So I believe, like Leanne said, I believe it should be shelved altogether and just forgotten about. I am in agreement with a couple of, what they call them, zebra crossings, so that trucks and that coming through know it's the pedestrians are supposed to cross there. I wouldn't even be that opposed to lights, but it probably create more problems than it would solve. So we got a very, very expensive underpass. It was built in totally the wrong place. If it was built down in the main part of town, it would get use all day long. So in summing up, I agree wholeheartedly with what Leanne has said.
Thank you. Just for clarity, Owen, can you spell your last name, please?
Everybody asked me to do that. DIEFENBACH.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. Okay, that's two people who have spoken against the project going ahead. Is there anyone who wishes to speak for the project? Okay, no. Is there anybody? Okay, yes, this is very relevant. Discussion of matters that are not on the agenda. Regulation 8. A matter not specifically listed on the agenda may not be discussed at a council meeting. The council may decide by an absolute majority for an ordinary meeting to deal with such a matter if the general manager's reports the reason it was not possible to put it on the agenda, the matter is urgent, and that advice from a qualified person has been provided. So your motion may not be able to be spoken about tonight. So that's correct, isn't it?
The fact that it's in public question time and public question time is on the agenda.
You can ask the public questions, but we can't bring up something that's...
Clarification on section 8. You can move urgency motions if the council so rules by absolute majority, and therefore for procedural purposes.
But it has to have reasons.
And the reasons is that this has come to the council's attention, and the attention being was we've deemed as a council to that is a matter of urgency.
The reason is because the tender is close to, we want to be able to deal with this before the tender goes out. We don't want to be in the same situation that we found ourselves in with Perth, where it's the cart before the horse. We want to be able to address this now. And these people come to us with a legitimate...
If you wish to put it as a matter of urgency when the time comes to move the motion, that's probably what will have to happen. And it'll have to be the majority of us.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, now first of all, I need to ask the members of the public, is there anybody who wishes to make a statement or ask a question about something other than these and not the planning item?
Ron Baker, Longford. We talked about the rules for dogs. What about cats? Because I'm sick of cats leaving their toilet waste in my garden.
Good point. Thank you. Is there any other members of the...
And what
Yes,
right do I have as a resident if someone's cat is coming onto my yard?
You can make council aware. Officers can actually write to the individual. Obviously,
You don't know where the cat lives.
well, the rights are limited then because.
Easy one. See me on.
Well, yeah.
write letters of complaint. Is there anybody else from the members of the community that would like to ask a question or make a statement about anything that's not related to planning item?
Annette Orsi, Longford. I just wanted to say that I think most people in Longford support Councillor Andrews' motion regarding a link or bypass road. We're not about taking trucks that service the businesses here. We are an agricultural town, it's part of our character, and we all love that. It's just about those extra vehicles that are coming through, and it really is a matter of urgency. Not only is it the traffic problem, safety, but it's also now causing damage to our heritage buildings. There's so much heavy traffic. All of those of us that have heritage buildings are continually repairing cracks and all sorts of things. I think most of them would report that. So I think we support, and I know the district committee supports it. As a matter of urgency, really, it's time for something to be done. And now is the time with the elections coming up. So thank you.
Yes.
I think I'm the only one present here that actually lives in the main street of Longford. Now, I live in a house that was built in 1890, so obviously I commend the motion that was put today. And I can assure those people, you may see from a distance a lot of cars going up and down. Trust me, it's hard to contemplate it unless you're in the main street, hearing it every day. And when we talk about, I think Alison mentioned 10, 15 years, it's not just 10, 15, the last 2 years have been astronomical in the amount of traffic coming through the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other member of the public who wishes to make a statement or ask a question? No? Okay, we'll move into planning. We have a mover and a second to move to Councillor Lambert. Yes. We need to deal with yours. I beg your pardon. Sorry. Okay, Councillor Lambert, you have a motion.
Yes, and I bring this motion to the floor. I was unable to bring it to council before the agenda was published, so I'm putting this up as a matter of urgency, considering that the people that have spoken tonight and their concerns. I believe that we should be pausing just for a moment to pause the Campbelltown streetscape development to reassess the parking issue before the tender process goes out. We've got a small window of opportunity to do that tonight, and I'm not sure whether we would have that opportunity again. So that's why I'm bringing this. So I hope the councillors will support this by a majority, I think it needs to be, in order to get this motion on the books.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I need to read this out again. On that way, it will be recorded in the minutes. Discussions of matters not on the agenda. A matter not specifically listed on the agenda may not be discussed at this council meeting. The council may decide by absolute majority for ordinary meeting or simple majority council committee to deal with such a matter if the General Manager reports 1, the reason it was not possible to put the matter on the agenda, 2, the matter is urgent, and 3, the advice from a qualified person as required under Section 65 of the Act has been provided. So I'm just making you aware that's the requirements of the legislation.
That's okay.
So you wish to proceed, Councillor Lambert?
I wish to proceed. I believe this is urgent. We can't miss that opportunity to get this discussed before the tender goes out.
1 minute. Okay, now I'm just going to query in the actual motion that you're moving. Does Councillor Lambert need to note that it's urgent? That matter of urgency needs to go in the actual
Sorry,
motion.
Madam Mayor, I've indicated what's in the legislation. The council
Yes, I will put in as a matter of urgency that I move the council pause as a matter of urgency.
Councillor Terrett seconded it previously.
I believe that Section 8 does allow for some urgency to be put in. There are things that come up at council from time to time, and this is one of those, that the council can allow that as a collective body. And you may disagree. I think we have done that at this council previously.
We won't bring personal things into it, please. One at a time, though, please. Now, Councillor Lambert, Councillor Lambert, do you believe you've spoken to it? Do you wish to speak to it now?
Well, I think I have spoken to it, but I just want to reiterate that listening to what the people have said tonight, I don't want us as a council to get this wrong. So we've still got that small window of opportunity to address any of these issues, or to at least look at the issues and see if there are any practical and possible solutions to these issues. And I think Ms Peters brought this point on as well, that I fear that we're probably going, if we're not careful, down the same slippery slope we did with the Perth development, Main Street. And I want to make sure that as a council we learn from that and address these issues now if we possibly can. I would like to see us work through some of these issues. I think I've probably said enough actually, but to make sure that we communicate any changes or any amendments or or if nothing changes, that at least we communicate that back to the Campbelltown community via whatever we believe is the most appropriate method. So I know we've got Sarah on board now, who's working with others to try and look at that communication side of things and to work with the community. I think that's a state growth requirement. But we might, and I know we're looking at putting call flute boards up to keep people informed on what's going on in the main street. So I think we've got some communication that we've started or will be starting. Obviously Facebook posts and community meetings, back through the forum, individually talking to people of concern who are concerned. We need to make sure we get that communication right as well, so everyone's on the same page.
Councillor Terrett seconded. Do you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you. One of the roles of a councillor is communication and expressing the views of the community at council. And as a consequence of that, we've heard what the community wants. It is our opportunity now to put not a stop, but a pause to the issue at the moment. And if we're required to listen to the community, we should also do some consultation so people know what's going on. It's no good just putting and doing these changes without the people most affected not knowing or being involved in the process. It's about bringing the community with us, not against us. And for putting this pause, I think it's sensible, and I thank Councillor Lambert for putting this up. It is a sensible move for us to take, and I fully support it.
Councillor McCullough.
I want to foreshadow a stronger motion because I think that a pause is probably not strong enough in this instance. I think it needs to be reassessed and brought back to a council workshop for full discussion before we go any further.
You're foreshadowing the motion. Now you need to state what your motion needs
As
to
a
be.
matter of urgency, we pause the Campbelltown streetscape, develop and have them found reassessed before a council workshop.
One at a time, please.
Prior to it before it going ahead. I think just keep it very simple. I think it needs to be brought back for a roundtable discussion. I think the word pause indicates that it's only there for a very short period of time. I think we should be just doing this properly, as everybody seems to agree around the table. We probably should be doing the same for Perth, but I'm not sure that's for the topic here now.
So is there a seconder to that foreshadowed motion? No, sorry.
Right.
I just have some wording.
Can you just bring it down a little bit, because I don't want to be,
You've got there, as a matter of urgency, pause the
Campbelltown
Campbelltown
streetscape,
streetscape.
reassess via a council workshop the future works to the Campbelltown Main Street.
Now, is there a second, before your point of order? Yes.
I think that's no different to the other motion.
Well, it is, because you're bringing it back to a workshop. The other one's just saying that you can go out there, look at it, say that the parking's okay, and just say to the community we're doing it anyway. This is actually brought back before the council for us to talk around the table.
Well, we can't decide without it being reassessed, which is what Councillor Lambert's got on hers. Anyway, I will just put that there. Is there someone seconding that?
Hang on, can I just...
You want a point of order?
Point of clarification. I know what Councillor Adams said, that if councillor Lambert would be happy to put something in her motion, right, bring it to a workshop, then it's basically is the same motion, rather than just have a council officer assess it and say.
That's a fair enough question. Okay, councillor Lambert and councillor Terrett, do you wish to have it brought back to a
I'd be
workshop?
happy to add that in.
All right, that covers off on that. We don't need the further.
No, and that's fine. If we put that up there and they agree, then everybody's happy.
We don't need the foreshadowed motion then.
No?
Right. So now we get back into the discussion. Councillor Terrett, you had your say. Councillor Hugh?
Question.
Yes.
Is which workshop, and I know I'm being pedantic, is it the next workshop, or because we've got several workshops coming up, can we please have it for the
Well, I
next?
think maybe that question might be for the general manager in terms of tenders.
Timelines.
Timelines, tenders.
Officers' availability, so it won't be the 24th of this month, so.
So it'll be the next one.
You've already had to say, I'm sorry.
I was going to ask a question. Can we actually just push the tender back so that we can actually deal with it properly? I don't want to be restricted by timelines because it's something such important. And the other question is, do we bring Perth into it as well, given the controversy of Perth? Or do we bring that next
I
meeting?
think we've got the motion there, yes. Okay, now, councillor Goss, yours next.
I just had a question, clarifying question for the general manager. The tender, when is the current tender going out?
Due to go out
End of this month.
end of this month.
Okay, so we're only talking about 3 weeks, so this matter is urgent. So probably it's got merit to be brought to council because it is urgent. Because otherwise, if we don't bring it to council, it'll be going out in 12 days. So I think that's probably what's really important. It is urgent, so I'd like to make that announcement. Thank you.
Councillor Archer.
I'd just like to put on public record that the council did take consultation into account on this project. I understand the Campbelltown District Committee supported the project. There's been months, years of discussion about the project. I did not like coming to a meeting and on the evidence of one or two people with respect, having to suddenly stop the work of council officers that have put hours and hours of work into this. Parking is an issue always. The angle parking in the Campbelltown Main Street has been forced upon us by state growth. Those parks are always going to be reduced. There are public car parks in Campbelltown provided by council or others. Some premises provide their own parking. I will not be bulldozed by people simply because there's a parking issue which has been consulted for 3 or 4 years. And in saying that, I may support the motion, but I do not like a committee of the council, being the Campbelltown District Committee, not having an opinion in this regard, and I'm not prepared just to listen to one or two.
Of course.
No, sorry, you can't speak. You can't speak, sorry.
But as I said, I will support the motion, but I reject the thing that there was no consultation. Thank you.
Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Andrews.
I'd like to make similar comments. I'll support this motion because there's obviously a lot of feeling in the current Campbelltown community about this. And so we need to go back and while we have the chance to have a quick look at what's going on. But, you know, maybe the General Manager could remind us how many times these plans have gone out to the community for consultation. Excuse me, I know this as fact. They've gone out to the community for consultation and they've come back. And the last time that they went out for community consultation, they came back with no representations. Therefore, council took it that there was no objection at that time when they came back from community consultation from the community, and therefore the decision was made to go ahead with this development. Obviously, that's changed. So therefore, I will accept and vote for this motion. But I'd like it on record too that council has consulted extensively on this over a number of years, and on, you know, people that are new to the town might know that, and therefore we are where we are now. But there has been huge amounts of consultation on this at Campbelltown.
Councillor Brooks.
I think you've got to do the consultation before the plans are drawn up, not have the plans whispered in front of business owners and say, make a comment. We had this trouble in Longford. Look, we scuttled the Longford plan because we couldn't agree on it. Look at Perth. same sort of scenario there. The business owners there are going mad because there's parking that's gone there. So I think our consultation, we need to look at it. To do our consultation before the plans are drawn up, not after and then try and sell it to the community. I just think we've got the plans the wrong way around.
Madam Mayor, I think I need to make a comment here. Council has consulted quite significantly on all those projects, every one of them, and I'm happy for the relevant officer to make those comments. One of the problems is the timelines from when you actually do the initial consultation to actually when we actually then did the plans. We went to the community about the actual DA at that stage. And particularly with Campbelltown, that went out to every business. Every business had an opportunity there to discuss the DA through that process. That went out how long ago, officer?
The approval for the development was back in the 27th of the 11th, 2023 when it was approved. So it would have been early November 2023.
And since that time, we've been working with the relevant authorities to get the drawings finalised and get all the approvals. Now we've started a process of making the businesses aware of what's happening on site as we actually start developing the area. Council can't do no more than what it's done. We'll definitely accept what council, if council makes a determination not to do the review as council resolves, but to suggest that there hasn't been public consultation is not correct. And particularly when council does a DA and not one business commented. We didn't get one rep with regards to the Campbelltown development. Not one. So just make you aware of that.
Okay, Councillor Adams, you're the only one who hasn't spoken.
Thanks, Mayor. There's so many issues here that people, it comes up because people don't, follow what's happening or whatever. But one of the big issues here in Campbelltown is that you're back onto a national highway. Now, the national code won't allow you to continue, and the pressure's coming. So if it doesn't happen by change, sometime in the future, Campbelltown will be bypassed. Those are the issues that are in front. Councillor Archer pointed out that state growth has the carriage of it, but the money comes and the codes are set at a national level. So there's major issues there that have to be dealt with. Truck parking, well, I think in cities it's always difficult, though there are safety regulations for truckies to get out and walk so far after they've driven so far. So there's issues there that they can walk into the town from some distance. But parking's no issue. Campbelltown has a substantial car park opposite the Valentine's Park and good toilets, which have been increased since I've been on council as well. So there's a lot of issues there, and I thought we were trying to put parking around the corner from the ones that we lose from because you can't back out. They're put straight in there. I can remember seconding a motion about making sure we save the trees, and that's 2 or 3 years ago. So I don't know where some people have been with this issue. The issue's been on the agenda, it's been there, and the town committee, I know, it's talked about it, and the councillors that attend those meetings. So it's difficult to, I'll support the motion and we can have a look at it and take representation on it at this late stage, but also getting things together as a council and getting tenders ready is not simplistic. I mean, these things are quite effort and quite costly. So, let's have a look at it and see, but how many car parks exist? There are some substantial parking there, and I thought around the corner we'd accommodated some of that.
Mayor, can I just add to Councillor Adams' comments there? Council may not recall, about 2 years ago they funded the upgrade of stage 1 of Queen Street. That was because council was aware that we were going to lose angle parking in the main street. And that's where obviously one of the major issues are with regards to traffic movements is people backing into to particularly truck movements, caravan movements up and down that main avenue. So council upgraded the intersection of Queen Street so as to provide additional parking there because the parking is going to be lost within that directly adjacent to Valentine's Park.
Councillor Lambert, you wish to know if everyone's had it. Everyone's.
I asked the question. Only put the
You have-
amendment. Only put the
I've
amendment.
got you down
for
as
it.
you've
I've
spoken. Okay.
That's a bit harsh.
Right, Councillor McCullough. I believe you have spoken.
I haven't spoken. I actually.
No, Councillor McCullough, say what you wish
foreshadowed a
to
motion,
say.
so-
Say what you wish to say.
Thank you for that, Mayor. I don't need to, I'm struggling to worry why we're getting so uptight about it when we're simply asking, the community have come here tonight and said they haven't got the number of parking spaces from a request for council. So I don't know why we're getting so upset about it when we're simply asking to come back, reconsider and push it back. I think we'd all like to see Campbelltown a better place. I think we'd all like to see improvements done, but why are we getting so upset about it when the community have come all the way from Campbelltown up here to speak to us? They've done that respectfully. We're asking to go back to the community. We're asking to go back around the table, have another look at it, and then put it back there. It doesn't need to be aggressive or anything like that. It can be just done in an orderly manner. Thank you.
Councillor Lambert, do you wish to sum up?
Yeah, look, I'd just like to say a couple of things. Thank you, because I think there's a bit of support around the room for just taking this little bit of pause to have a reassessment. We've got this one window of opportunity to do this before the tender goes out. And we need to remember that the main street of Campbelltown, it's the economic hub of Campbelltown. You know, a lot of things revolve around that main street, and we need to make sure that we get this right. We've had some community members come up tonight to express their concerns, and I'm listening. I've taken those concerns seriously. That's why I put this motion forward. I agree this shouldn't be an aggressive thing. We should be as councillors looking at this in a mature way and going, okay, we've got an opportunity. Let's just have a quick look at this parking issue, have a look and see what, and I think the General Manager's mentioned a couple of things tonight that have been done in preparation for this. Just go back and have a look at all of these things and look at any other possibilities that there might be to improve the parking in this particular plan before we take it out to tender. And then I believe that we're doing the right thing by our community by doing this, and we're listening to them. And I thank you again for bringing this bringing this issue forward. So thank you.
Okay, I'm going to read out the motion, and then I'm going to put the motion that Councillor Lambert and Councillor Terrett, that Council, as a matter of urgency, pause the Campbelltown streetscape development to reassess the parking issue and report back to a council workshop prior to progressing the tender process, and B, communicate back to the community. Okay, I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour? Aye. Against? The motion's carried. Now we need to move into planning. Councillor Lambert and Councillor McCullough. Now, where did I find my spot here?
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you for hearing us.
Thank you.
It's all right. Have a good night. Safe drive. Thank you.
Okay, are there any members of the public who wish to speak about planning one, the draft amendment? Sorry, we moved into planning. Oh, Councillor Lambert, Councillor McCullough, all those in favour? Sorry, against? Carried. Sorry. Thank you for that. Is there any member of the public who wishes to speak about the planning item, a draft amendment regarding the flood-prone hazard area at Perth, Campbelltown and Ross, and the direction from the Planning Commission? No, okay, so planning one. Do you wish to speak, Mr. Gaudier? Or who's
yes,
the best one?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, thanks. So, yes, council.
No, we haven't discussed it yet.
The council initiated a scheme amendment to incorporate flood mapping that it had undertaken for Perth, Campbelltown and Ross. 10 representations were received and considered by council and forwarded to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission held a hearing into the representations and the amendment as a whole. The Commission also asked for comment from the State Emergency Service, as they've had statewide flood mapping undertaken. And so there are differences between the SES statewide mapping and council's mapping. And the Commission has asked the council to provide a response to the differences between its mapping and the State Emergency Service mapping, and which mapping it supports. For the council to be able to do that, we need advice from the company insurer that undertook the flood mapping for us, and we've sought a quote for that to happen. And we've also noted there in the recommendation that there's a later detailed design of upgrade works for Sheepwash Creek, and that modelling should be undertaken for that. So the recommendation at the moment is to receive and consider the advice from insurer, and to receive and consider at a future meeting modelling from of Sheepwash Creek.
Thank you. Do we have a mover and a seconder for a motion? Councillor McCullough, you're moving that motion? And Councillor Andrews? Councillor McCullough, do you wish to speak to it?
No, I think that's all been done by Paul really well.
Councillor Andrews?
Same, I think we just need to get on with it and try and settle this complicated matter.
Any other councillors wish to speak to it? I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Okay, we'll move out of planning. Councillor Lambert and Councillor Adams. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Cool. Oh, we go back now to 6. Minutes from committees, yeah, 6.1. I've got to find it too. No, it'll be 6.1.
Council committees and everything.
No. Okay, council committees, the confirmation of their minutes. Oh, there's no questions on notice. So we're up to number 6. The recommendation is the following minutes of the meetings of council committees be received. So I have a mover and a second. Councillor Adams and Councillor Lambert. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Good. Okay. And now, from those minutes, from those committees, there's a recommendation from the Avondale District Committee regarding the Pioneer Park toilet block shower. And the officer's recommendation is that council note the request and include an allocation in the draft 25-26 budget for consideration. Councillor Lambert's moving that, and Councillor McCullough is seconding. You wish to speak to it, Councillor Lambert?
Oh, just that I think this is very needed, and I think our study will probably show that it's very needed, so I don't see why we should wait until the study arrives. I know there have been a number of people inquiring about being able to use this facility, so I believe the infrastructure's there, and it should, I think we should get it up and running as quickly as possible for the benefit of those who may not be fortunate enough to have a home to live in.
Do you wish to speak, Councillor McCullough?
I concur with Councillor Lambert.
Councillor Archer?
I'd firstly just like to understanding spending $5,000 to $7,000 on the token system. I'd just like perhaps a quick brief report on how the Longford one is progressing.
I think that's where Councillor Lambert suggested that we are preparing a report. There's been a bit of income coming in each month. I'm not aware of the actual tokens being used that much because we have been monitoring that as well. But I think it's a few $100 each month that's coming in. Might be correct.
I collected it last week and it was $170, and then there's been other months that have been 100, 40. It just depends on what. And we've had a couple of weeks where it was out of order as well, so that reflected in the takings for that month.
The technology.
Wait a minute.
Sorry.
Councillor Terrett.
Yeah, just you might not be aware that there has been a number of homeless people living in Pioneer Park, particularly in the barbecue shelter, and also in the church next door. And this the usage of that. And quite one thing about Avondale is you've also got caravanners who might actually want to have a shower. And I think this has also been a source of why people are looking for somewhere to have a shower. And by expediting this, I think it's a very wise thing for this council as well.
Councillor Adams. Sorry to interrupt you before.
No, the cost was $5,000 or $7,000. I mean, that technology seems to be expensive, but you put a token in and it makes the shower work for a certain time. But I guess everything's expensive. But just raise the point that it's an expensive item. No, I'm not against doing it, but
Yep. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Longford District Committee have a recommendation around the Fred Davies Memorial Grandstand, and the officers' recommendation is that council officers seek an estimate of the costs to engage a heritage advisor to provide a report of initial assessment of the heritage value of the Fred Davies Memorial Grandstand to include an allocation in the 25-26 budget for consideration. I have a mover and a second.
I'll actually put a different amendment forward.
Move, yes, all right. Yes,
That's,
a foreshadowed motion.
The foreshadowed motion.
Oh, no, you're just moving a motion. You're moving a motion. That's all right. Go ahead.
That we actually just go straight. I'm not sure why we're going to get a report on it. I think that grandstand is part of the Longford Football Club ground identity, and that we simply go to and lodge a report with the Heritage Commission for heritage status, as opposed to
Wait a minute. We need the actual motion that you wish to have.
The Northern Midlands Council
Make an
make an application to the Heritage Tasmania for heritage status of the Fred Davies Memorial Grandstand.
And Councillor Brooks is seconding that.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, can I ask
Yes.
the officer a question? Does that need to be substantiated, the application though, with an assessment?
It will need, yes, advice from a heritage consultant to support that. They'll be asking for that.
Can I ask why?
Because there's a number of criteria they have to meet.
But Heritage Tasmania do that criteria in there once you put the application in.
Well, they may well ask for supporting
But why
criteria.
don't we put the application in, then when they come back with further information, then we deal with it.
But excuse me, Mr. Tubley, please be quiet. You're not supposed to speak now.
So
I believe the process is when I've been involved in heritage listing things, you actually need that sort of report from the council prior to that's part of your application. Is that correct?
Well, the normal process would be, but again, it's quite easy to ask the question. They'll just come back and tell us if we need a
That's
report.
right. So we're going to put the application in, and then if they want further information, we then provide it to them.
Yeah.
All right, I'll.
It seems a much more mainstream or streamlined process.
Check to make sure that that's correct.
Okay, I'll just double check the motion. The council make an application to Heritage Tasmania for heritage status of the Fred Davies Memorial Grandstand.
At the Longford Recreation Oval, that's fine.
At the Longford Recreation Oval. And Councillor Brooks is seconding. Councillor Brooks, do you wish to speak to
Yeah, just on that. Now, if they do come back and want a heritage advisor to look at it, well, we don't really need to go and seek an estimate. We just have to engage one to go and do it, don't we? Like David Denman or someone like that we already use is.
Madam Mayor, we're near the end of this financial year, and adding on this cut, what's it, by 1,000 cuts. And the thing is, you've got to look at the actual cost of that, and that could be a few $1,000s. All the officers are here. They haven't said don't do the project. All they're suggesting here is we need to get a cost and include it in the future budget. Someone needs to pay for it.
Councillor Terrett.
Just clarification, could it be done in-house?
We don't have an officer in-house. We do have heritage advisors, but it still comes at a cost.
Councillor Archer.
I think at this stage, we're just trying to get heritage status for the grandstand. The process will become evident through the next few months. I think the people in the town would like it to have heritage status under state law, so I think at this stage the motion will be satisfactory, but we'll make a separate decision perhaps as a council to fund a study if necessary.
Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. This was the grandstand that the greatest team in Tasmania in 1957, the state premiers. They ran out from under this grandstand every home game until they won the grand final by 21 points, beating North Launceston and North Hobart at York Park in those days. So it's a significant building, and the way to sustain it is to give it a heritage classification, and then a council in 30 years' time will maintain it.
Okay, any further comment from anybody? I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Information items. I move in a second that they be received. Councillor Lambert and Councillor Adams. Any questions? Councillor Andrews.
Just the general manager met with the Mill Dam landowner. Wondered if he was able to give us any details about whether that was a good chat.
Yes, Madam Mayor, that was a reasonable, good discussion. There was obviously no decisions were made there, because obviously that need to come back to the council at some time in the future. The discussion was really looking at the plan that was provided, just showing where possible lines could be drawn with regards to excising or council purchasing some land. They were going to take that away and have a look at it and discuss it with their hierarchy and come back to us. The process moving forward from there would be, if council is happy to proceed further, would be to actually get a costing of a valuation for the site. I did mention to JBS rep there that we perhaps could do that together if we could agree on a valuer, because whoever gets a valuation would just share that. Was this required under our legislation for us to do that, whether we're purchasing or selling land? So we're just waiting for them to come back to us, and that could be within the next 3 or 4 weeks.
And they were receptive, obviously.
They were receptive in the first meeting. The second meeting was just about looking on site to see roughly where the lines were going to run and how that would impact on the operation of their business for that site. They were mostly not concerned, but raised the need to ensure they've got access to the piece of land that they retain if they sell any at all.
Councillor Brooks.
Just in the, where is it? The resource sharing summary, and down the bottom, the private works. Is there any chance of getting an itemised list every time? Because there seems to be a hell of a lot of hours spent on private works, 148.5 hours. Seems like a lot of hours, and I don't know what it is, like what are private works, and what are we doing for 148.5 hours?
The Works Manager, make comments there.
Well, it could be street sweeping, like Manor Valley Council, doing the work for them. We actually
That's
do all
already in the table. The street sweeping, that's already up there in the Manor Valley Council resource sharing. So,
and then we also do private works of grading or anything like that, road building.
that's what I'm asking. Can we have a detailed description of what it is, not just 148.5 hours of private works and there's no other information regarding it.
Madam Mayor, we can provide a list of whether it's just grading of open roads into properties, things like that. We won't be providing property owner details, but we can list the works that are being done.
Yep, that's all right. I'd just like to know where those hours are going, because we're so strapped for people and resources, and we're spending 148.5 hours a month on doing private works when we probably don't need to be.
I think that's the year, is it?
Yes, that's year to date.
That's the year to date.
Yep, 148 hours is quite a considerable amount of hours.
From last July.
Yep.
Any further?
More questions, please?
Yes. You've had your time.
Just about 14.2 on page 30. Has there been any action on the proposed community garden at Perth? Where are we at with all of that? Do the group still want to go ahead with that?
Sorry, which one?
14.2 at the bottom, halfway down, page 30. Proposed community garden at Perth.
I'll check with the officer and get some advice back to you on that. I'm not aware of this stage, but I can check on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, any further questions about information items? I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, now we're going to 13.1, which is page 47 on the computer. And we recommend it's Development Services Monthly Report. The recommendation is that the report be noted. I need a mover and a seconder, then you can ask questions. Councillor Adams and Councillor Archer. Any questions? No, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Oh, there we are. There, sorry. Oh, yes, we adjourned for our meal. It's already gone, oh, just almost 6:30. Yeah. Do you wish to adjourn for your meal now? Okay, we're going to leave for half an hour. Yes, just let the people online know we're leaving for half an hour. 14.1, council attendance and Anzac Day services. And we need to go through the recommendation. I'll go through them one at a time.
Do you have to move and second first?
Do we, yes, I'll just go through. Yeah, I suppose we need to move and second first. Okay, yep, sorry. Yeah, where are we?
Oh, I'll move it then.
14.1, yes. Councillor Lambert, Councillor Terrett. Okay, now I'll go through them one at a time. Anzac Cenotaph, I'll do that one because I run the service. Bishopsburn,
I do.
that's at Avoca, yes. And Councillor Adams will do Bishopsburn and
No, that's okay.
Campbelltown at 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
6 a.m. Councillor Lambert.
I'll do the 11 a.m.
11 a.m. Councillor Andrews. Cressy Cenotaph at 9 a.m. Councillor Goss. Evandale Cenotaph 6 a.m. Councillor Terrett. Evandale Cenotaph 11 a.m. Yep, sorry. Councillor Lambert's doing the 11 a.m. one at Evandale. Right. Longford 6 a.m. Councillor Andrews and Councillor Adams. Longford 11 a.m. Councillor Adams.
Was it Andrews doing 6?
Yeah, both Councillor Andrews and Councillor Adams. And then Longford 11 a.m. Councillor Adams. Perth 9 a.m. Councillor Lambert. Ross 6 a.m. I'll do that one. And Ross 11 a.m. Councillor Archer.
Page.
54. Yeah. So everyone's going to remember what they're going to do? Good. Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Oh, yes, Perth. Who said Perth?
Yeah.
Councillor Lambert. Yep.
Thank you, sorry.
Okay. And Vivian will organise and pick up the So everyone, please be in touch with Vivian to organise when you get your wreaths. Ross is 6 a.m. me and Councillor Archer for 11 a.m.
And we don't do wreaths for dawn service, do we?
No, not usually. Everyone's happy with that? Okay, I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, 14.2 is the Australian Local Government Association, the General Assembly, call for motions and councillor attendance. And the recommendation is that council note the report and the provision within the policy for Mayor Mary Knowles and Deputy Mayor Lambert to attend the 2025 National General Assembly of Local Government to be held in Canberra from the 24th to the 27th of June, and submit the following two motions for consideration at the ALGA conference: financial support for renewable and energy efficient projects and increased funding for climate change mitigation and asset replacement. Councillor Adams is moving and Councillor Brooks is seconding. Okay, any discussion? No? Right, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. .3 is a discussion paper, local government regulations and local government meeting procedures regulations. And there are some options here. That Council A, provide feedback to the state government on the discussion paper, remaking the local government regulations, or B, do not agree to provide a submission to the Department of Premier and Cabinet, or C, agree to submit a submission to the Department of Premier and Cabinet following amendments and discussion made at the next workshop. So a mover for one of those options.
I'll move C.
Move C, Councillor Archer.
I'll second it.
And Councillor McCullough. Okay, any discussion? Councillor Andrews.
I'm just concerned if we go for C, as we mentioned at the workshop, will they take into account our submission?
That's to prepare the submission, yes. Yes, because we'll still get the submission in time.
We will. Okay.
There's some real issues.
Councillor Adams?
Like 2.2 at the bottom. Proposed changes to local government regulations, meeting regulations and general regulations. These things are all mixed up and going to have to do things again. They're going to do them once. Talking about trying to trying to put, local government through all sorts of issues. I mean, want to get some of their own act together.
Joking, of course. Councillor Terrett. Oh, no, Councillor Adams, that's right, Councillor Terrett.
With the consent of the mover and seconder, whether they would accept we write to our three upper house members, which includes the Minister for Local Government, about the very short period provided councils to consider these important regulations.
So the mover and seconder are happy to add that to the recommendation? So at C, put and right to,
Upper house.
Short time frame.
yes, regarding the short time frames.
Short time
We
frame.
could say our three local upper house members.
Local upper house members, yeah, for the submission.
Do you need to name?
Yeah.
I need to name those, yeah.
Local upper house members.
Otherwise, we'll write to
Yeah.
three any old.
Yes.
Three local upper house.
Yes. Okay, everyone's happy to add that to C. That's the mover and seconder, which was Councillor Archer, Councillor McCullum. All right. Any further comments? So, Councillor Terrett, did you have a say?
Look, I'm happy to wait till the workshop.
Right. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Just go back to line. 14.4 is a discussion paper, the Tasmanian Government's Local Government Electoral Bill. And there's a recommendation there that Council A, agree to submit the enclosed submission as written. B, do not agree to provide a submission to the Department of Premier and Cabinet. Or C, agree to submit a submission to Department of Premier and Cabinet following amendments discussed at the next workshop. Councillor McCullum, you're moving that?
C,
C.
yeah, please, 14.4C.
And Councillor Terrett.
And
Do you wish to speak to it?
I was just going to say, Councillor Terrett may want to add that same line to that one as well. Right into
Been
the...
out for a while, but
I think one letter would cover us,
Okay,
Mayor.
that's fine, thank you. Good, yep, thank you.
Any further discussion? Yes, Councillor Goss.
I've had a fair bit of feedback, I've got a bit of lobbying from people in the community, and I just wondered under point number 2, which is on page 81, and I just want to say before I start, with all due respect to Councillor McCullum, who does not impact him much, but people in the community have asked me how councillors don't live in our community and they live away and they run for our council, and I just wonder if we should have something in there where councils have that in there that people need to live in the municipality, and it's the same with I think it should be the same in state government and federal government. Well, I don't think it just should be just in local government. It should be the same across all 3 codes. And as I said, I know that Councillor McCullum lives outside our community, but potentially with maybe the change to the online meeting schedule, we could have several councillors that don't even live in our municipality, and we could be running everything from afar. And myself, I've got properties in other municipalities. I can live there and just fly in and out for a meeting 7 times a year, and the rest I can spend online doing it. And other councils in the same boat here as that. And I just think it's something that we should get local government to look at, and the state government to have a recommendation. So I'm not sure if I need to move a motion to that, to get that, or foreshadow a
I
motion.
think our officers can add it in for the workshop discussion.
Can add it in for the discussion, and then at that time,
I'd like that to be added in for
we
discussion.
get some consensus from the elected members.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Councillor McCullum.
I think Councillor Goss is forgetting I've still got to get voted in. So I think you've got to get voted in by the municipality, not by the outsiders. It doesn't matter where I live. And the Act says that if I own property here, I can run here. So I only play by the rules, my friend.
Any further discussion?
I'm not going to answer that.
Someone, oh no, you can't sum up, sorry, Councillor McCullough. Okay, I'll put that recommendation, all those in favour? Against? Carried. 14.5 is a submission on the, targeted amendments to the Local Government Act, and the recommendation is A, agree to submit the enclosed submission to the Department of Premier and Cabinet as written. B, do not agree to provide a submission to the Department of Premier and Cabinet. Or C, agree to submit the enclosed submission to the Department of Premier and Cabinet with the following amendments. Councillor McCullough. C, are you adding any amendments?
No.
And who is?
We'll do that workshop, won't we?
No, that's going, this is going to be put in.
Okay, sorry.
You need A, I think.
I think we'll go and A.
That's for A, okay. Is that a second? If we have a seconder for that, Councillor Archer. Councillor Archer. Any discussion? No? Right. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, 15 is Corporate Services Report, our monthly financial statement.
Move the recommendation.
And seconder, Councillor Andrews. Any questions for the Corporate Services Manager? Any comments? Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. 15.2 is the nomenclature, naming of new roads, Perth, and the recommendation is that Council approve Sleet Street, Skyview Rise, Fingon Way and Sconset Close as new street names for the subdivision of Napoleon Street, Perth. Councillor Lambert's moving that, and Councillor Adams is seconding. Do you wish to discuss it?
Yeah. No, I think the report speaks for itself.
Everyone's
They're
happy?
great names.
Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Works reports, 16.1, pavement damage, Wellington Street, Longford. There's a recommendation that Council liaise with the Department of State Growth to have them carry out pavement repairs on Wellington Street around Littleton Street Junction as soon as practicable. Thank you, Councillor Adams and Councillor Andrews. Do you wish to, ask Councillor Adams first, if you wish to speak to it?
No, I think it's straightforward, and the report's straightforward, and this is an issue we've discussed.
Councillor.
As soon as we can get them to get the money in.
Councillor Andrews, do you wish to speak?
Yes, this has been a long time coming and it's really good to see it here. Thank you, Works Manager and Engineering Officer. And the sooner we can move state growth, the best. And I wish our officers all the best of luck with that.
Councillor Terrett.
Yeah, I'm pleased that this comes up, and I do thank Councillor Adams for putting this up originally, but it shows the failure of the road surface, and this has been one of the concerns about trucks. And it's, had we not had the trucks there, we probably wouldn't have such bad surface damage. And it goes beyond Little John Street. It's actually that a lot further, and if we can get state growth to fix up that section all the way down would be fantastic, but it is something that is becoming dangerous, the fact it's gone down so far now. And if we can get them to do more work in that section of Wellington Street, the sooner the better.
Councillor Archer.
I'm not sure we should include, but there's also two instances up Cressy Road where the state growth has not replaced the gravel, which is equally as or even more dangerous than this. So I'm not sure whether we just put that in there as well. The Works Manager.
Works Manager will follow that up, yeah. Councillor Lambert.
I'm concerned about this phrase, as soon as practicable. We have a number of items sitting in our information items from state growth, 5, that since some of them since 2023, we have been waiting patiently for them to act, write a report, answer a letter, get back with information, and I think last meeting or the meeting before, I brought this up as an issue. So I'm a bit concerned about what as soon as practicable means. I think it's great that Mr. Goss has been on site to have a look, but do we have any timeframes about what practical might mean? This financial year, next financial year, 5 years' time?
They'll be looking at next financial year, they'll put it in for budget process as well. I think it's something we probably still need to chase harder. I spoke to Mr. Goss's boss, and from there I think he wants us to push further.
Okay.
It's something they haven't got a budget for, and it's actually going to cost a fair few dollars. That centre lane, what, so that hasn't moved. That's actually 300 mil of asphalt. I remember when that was repaired, that road, they're actually running out of time. Instead of just doing it how they normally have all the road moved together, they actually just put 300 mil of asphalt in to make their solid and made that side weak.
So we're looking at next financial year, no budget for this has been allocated by state growth, and his boss has been encouraging the council to push this. So do we now need to do something in a public sense?
Budget in May, state budget.
Their budget hasn't been budgeted for. So do we need to maybe do a bit of a public campaign to show how much in disrepair this is, or how do we push this issue so we don't have 6 items sitting on our information list from state growth that never get acted upon, not because of us not trying to get it addressed? That concerns me.
Madam Mayor, I think the best thing is actually, in the first instance, we go back and ask for a timeline before we start perhaps going down another path. But let's ask for a timeline and we clearly indicate this emergency. If we get an answer back that's not acceptable, we can ask for a meeting with the relevant minister, which is Kerry Vincent, and every now and then he does pop up this way. We're lucky enough to get a quick meeting with him last week. It was last week, I think, or the week before. So we could raise with him and even show him the problem. So. Let's ask the question first, and if that doesn't get us anywhere, we can then take the matter up straight away with the minister.
Maybe some commitment in writing from Kerry about timelines.
Councillor Andrews.
I just want to know if the Works Manager is the name of the road network supervisor in our favour. Is he a goss from around these parts?
Only something I won't answer if he's a reason.
He's not from Cressy.
Councillor Terrett.
I've already had my chance and the General Manager answered my question.
No further comments. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, we're now going to move into closed council.
We move into closed council.